Hello and welcome back to Revender in Sports and another edition of Industry News. Today we're going to talk about a small carbon custom frame builder out of Massachusetts. Now, the COVID, supply shortage, all of these things are impacting companies large and small. And so we're talking about a company that really, when they filed for a PPP loan, they only had 20 employees. So this is a really small business, and I think maybe predominantly on the East Coast, you're going to see these Parlee frames more. They're more prevalent maybe on the East Coast, but I've seen them here. I've worked on them here. They're not many. And I was also a Parlee dealer. So, of course, this is near and dear to me, and I wish to talk to you about it. Now, this is a company that was founded by Bob Parlee. And this was a company founded back in 2002. So really, we're only talking about 21-year-old company. And they started out with custom. Then they started importing some stock sizes. So like, I don't remember what they were because I wasn't a dealer at the time, but let's just say, 51, 53, 55, 57. So a stock geometry. And then they started doing complete bikes in 2017. Well, in January, so this is February the 15th, in January, they filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Now, Chapter 11, it's just a restructuring, but it kind of gives you some debt relief from your creditors, and you're able to at least keep working and keep building bikes. And the CEO, James Bradley, this is the first thing that he said. Okay, we're restructuring, but we're still building bikes and we're still shipping bikes. Now, I'm going to list a few of the creditors, and then we'll get into how the customer aspect is being handled. So let me give you, so the biggest thing is, you have assets and liabilities, and they're a little bit upside down, right? So they have $4.4 million in liabilities, but only $2.6 million in assets. And I can break them down a little later in this video, but that's what, 1.8 million of a disparity. And the sales numbers, 2022 it was 3.6 million. 2021 was 4.7. For 2023, now this is conceivably on the East Coast, especially. This is what I would believe the down season. So it's January, February, but they only had $91,000 in sales. And so if you multiply that out by 12 months, that barely makes it to $1 million. So I don't know, is the writing on the wall for Parlee, and it's a sad thing because these big companies, the Specialized, the Treks, the Cannondales, these bigger companies, they they have a lot of product that, from other videos, I guess they have a glut of product, and so those prices will come down. People may not want to spend money on a custom when they can get, and I don't know anyone in this situation, but let's just say they didn't want to buy a $12,000 S-Works, but they would buy, let's say, a Parlee custom made for them and everything else. But now that S-Works is down to like 10,000 or maybe 9, and the geometry's just a little bit off. I just need a longer stem and I'm good. So I mean, this is the challenge that I see for Parlee when all these other manufacturers that are making stock bikes, if their prices come down because of too much inventory, this might impact Parlee a little bit more than just the fact that they were an expensive brand. I mean, how are they going to recoup all this money? So, but let's back up to a couple of other things first. So their biggest secured creditor is Bank Gloucester, and that's 877,000. Let's just call it $1 million just for easy math. And then there's Shimano at 214,000, SRAM at 423,000. They got a COVID-19 loan of 1.9 million. It's a lot of money they got to pay back, right? And when you look at the, got Boyd Wheels that they owe money to, some bike shops, you got Wrench Science, but $115,000 in deposits, customer deposits, as of January 31. So this is now customers who have put money with Parlee, and they, expect a bike to be built. And so, Parlee has to go to SRAM or has to go to Shimano and say, look, I need these components. And, Chapter 11, and, they're able to continue to work, but at what point does SRAM or Shimano or anyone else say, I just don't think you're going to be able to pay us back? So, these are just my thoughts, right? So now, what the COO, I might have said CEO, but I'm sorry, I meant COO, Chief Operating Officer. He basically said, look, these 115,000, these bikes are being built. We will build them or are currently building them. So, our customers come first, and we need to get the bikes out to them, and then we'll get everyone else taken care of as well, the vendors, distributors, and so on and so forth. But, they do claim that COVID was a pretty serious impact to their business. I want to cover something that I found interesting, and maybe you will as well. In 2019, they filed with the U.S. trade representatives, and they said, look, this tariff that the Trump administration has put on Chinese-made products, this 25% tariff, they petitioned to have that waived on the frames that they were bringing in. And they won that filing for frames under $600. So we all know that there's a landed cost, and then there's additional costs, and then there's the cost to the distributor or to a vendor, and then the end product to the retail. Then that to the retailer, and then the retailer to the consumer. So all the way down. But what we're seeing here is that they were able to get frames that were under $600 landed cost, were excluded from this 25% tariff from China. They also petitioned for the forks, but that didn't go through. So the only one that was approved was on the frames. The forks they still had to pay for. And another thing, when I mentioned the 20 employees, when they filed for a PPP, they, and this is strange why they show this here. It says it was a PPP loan, which you don't have to pay back, but it was $150,000 to $350,000. So, which is it? That is a large range of number there. So, anyway, there's an additional conference, or they call it a status conference, and it's scheduled on March 1st. So I'm very curious to see what's going to happen with Parlee frames. So I'd like to open the discussion up to you folks. Who owns a Parlee frame? Have any of you, I mean, do you have deposits with them? Are you expecting a bike to be built by them in 2023? Or did you put your deposit in 2022 and you've been waiting 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, or longer for your frame? I'd like to hear from you folks. I'd like to hear what has been your experience. Have they kept in touch with you? Are you blindsided by the fact that they just filed for Chapter 11? Have they committed to a date for you when you will receive your frame, complete bike, whatever you ordered from them? I'd like to open up that discussion down below. And, on a personal level, I really, really want them to come out of this. I love artisan type companies. I like to be a contrarian. I like to have something that is different than what everyone else is writing. I do not like cookie cutter.
It's 1 o'clock.
It's 1 o'clock. I don't like cookie cutter stuff. I'm just not that person. I was always the B side of a 45 hit record, right? So when you lose these small artisan builders, steel, titanium, carbon, I mean, their molds are, so they list their assets and inventory to be 2.1 million. 1.5 of that is their molds and their machinery. Yeah, I mean, it's a high capital investment industry to make these carbon frames. So anyway, I'd like to see them succeed. I really want them, and the bike industry needs them to succeed. Okay, that's all for today. Please like and subscribe. Let's find out what's going on March 1st, and I'll keep you updated then. But hit that notification bell so that you know when I've posted that video. Okay, thank you for your time and your attention. Please like and subscribe. We'll see you up the road.